I want to get to Cynthia. Her from Illinois. She has had a ghost encounter and wants to discuss from when she was in college.
Okay.
Hi, Cynthia. How are you?
Hi, Eli.
Hey.
Hi, how you guys doing?
I was
Good. How
hoping
are
this
you?
was the sweet Cynthia I knew.
Of course it is.
Yeah, of course. It is me. My goodness. You guys listen. I was listening to the call before and I could have a whole call just like breaking down that call, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm going to tell you about my but I gotta say, it's like, hey, if I am like invited back on to Truth Wanted, Adrian, please call in. No, I'm not watching anything. I'm sorry. Say hi, Rob. Say hi to Rob. Say hi to Mommy's friend. Say hi, Mommy's friend. Hi, Mommy's friend.
Hi.
Hello.
Everybody say hi to my 4-year-old. Okay. So, you want to get into my ghost story?
I want to hear your ghost story. I love ghost stories.
Cool. Okay, yes. A mommy story? Yeah, I'm telling a mommy ghost story. You want to hear it? Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So, yeah, exactly. I know, right? Okay, so when I was in college, right, I lived in the oldest girl dormitory in Illinois at the time. And we had like a ghost, we had like a, tall tale running around about a girl who was a student at my college who would play the piano in this big room that was kind of like, it looked like a living room, but like the piano was like a grand piano, but it was like very old. And the story was that she was unfortunately offed while she was playing the piano by some rando, right? And because of that, she haunted the dormitory. And we also had, in the old part of the dormitory, a 4th floor that was completely closed down that was told to us that the reason why we don't use that 4th floor is because that's where the ghost of Mary, and they're always named Mary, I don't know why, resided, right?
Or Myrtle.
So yeah, I know, right? So I heard the story a bunch of times, right? And so I remember one night I went to sleep, and then I felt like the need to get back up again because like I felt like paralysis, if that makes sense. Sleep paralysis.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, gee, I want to get up, but I can't, right? And then when I opened my eyes, OMG, I saw a pale figure with dark black hair staring at me. Right? And she didn't say a word. She just stared at me. And I was like, oh my God, is this Mary? And then she disappeared. And then I was able to get it back up again. And then I went to some of my girlfriends and I told them, I said, hey guys, guess what? Last night, I think that Mary came to me. And they said, they do? You do? And I was like, yeah. And I told them what happened. I said, I was asleep. I was laying down in my room. I looked up. I was trying to get up. I couldn't. And the next thing you know, I saw like a very pale figure dressed in like a lacy white nightgown and had very dark hair and like very piercing eyes, like black eyes, like looking at me. Wouldn't say a word. And I guess I was so petrified I could not get up. So yes, that is.
Got 2 things. If I can do a follow-up, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Number 1, and I'm only saying this because I'm your friend, Cynthia. You said this when you were going to college?
Yes. I was.
Okay, I'm just going to ask you this as your friend. When you were going to college, did you do a bunch of drugs? I was just,
Absolutely not.
I had to do it as a joke, but
No, I did not. I did not. I did not
I had to do
engage
it as a
in
joke. Sorry.
extracurricular
But
activities
I
of
was
that
what you're
sort
just,
when I was in
when you were
college.
saying like you couldn't move, it kind of sounds like sleep paralysis.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
think
it really
that's why I
does. Yeah.
said that. I think that was sleep paralysis. Yeah,
Yeah, I know. I've
yeah.
never experienced it, but my
I
son
think.
has, and he said he's had like different experiences with it, including like being operated on by doctors.
Ooh.
So yeah, I know, right? Weird
Mm,
stuff. So
I've also
yeah.
never
mm.
experienced it, but I've heard a lot of stories that were a lot like that. That was it through and through. Yeah, sounded like sleep paralysis to me.
Hmm.
Also terrifying.
Yeah,
It also
Yeah.
yeah.
sounded
No,
terrifying.
yeah, it is. It is terrifying. Actually, like, it seemed like at that particular time in my life, like when I was younger, I did experience some things. I did have some experiences with sleep paralysis.
Some hypnagogic
I
hallucinations.
remember one time. I'm sorry.
I said some like other hypnagogic
I'm sorry.
hallucinations like that.
Yeah,
That's what
It
they
has
yeah.
call.
been
That's what
I
they
would
previously.
call when you
definitely
had
say
with the
so.
sleep
I remember.
paralysis hallucination. It's hypnagogic.
Yeah, and I wouldn't doubt if it was like suggestive, only because like I remember like every time that people would like move into the dorm, that's the first thing that people will be hit with is this story about Mary, right? And sometimes, and I know that like when I was in college is when that was like my introduction to evangelical Christianity and the more supernatural portions of how it operates, right? So, like the Holy Ghost actually intervening with things and the devil being a bit more, active because he's supposed to be the prince of the air. And I would not doubt, to be honest with you, gentlemen, if those thoughts were not implanted in me when I would go to church or some other community gathering in the Christian community at that time that influenced my thinking.
Yeah, I
Gotcha.
think it definitely could have been. Yeah, without without knowing what your influences was, I can only speculate. Influences were, I can only speculate. But I know, like, I think it's pretty natural for people who do have like religious or spiritual beliefs to have beliefs in supernatural, and then you're going to
Mm-hmm.
interpret things that way based on like we say it all the time, like our experiences shape our beliefs, and our beliefs shape our perception, and our perception shapes our experiences. So yeah, I think it's totally natural that happened, and now you know better.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. What say you, Mr. Kelly?
Yeah. What the best thing I got out of this, what I enjoyed hearing the most was that today you still look back on that with skepticism, like what could this have been? What other things could this have possibly been that weren't supernatural that I can't prove? And I think just that exercise alone is just freaking awesome. So I think that if that's where you started it at, it was something like that started you when you were younger on that path. That's incredible. I would say that was a great experience for you if that's where it led you.
Yeah, I would say so. I think that like when I was Christian and more in the quote unquote spiritual realm, I tried to attach some type of like, perhaps it's this, perhaps it's that was considered like either the God, the devil, angels, etc., right? Or some type of like supernatural happening that could be within the earth realm. But I guess like the older that I got and the more that I started to move away from that way of thinking, I started to think like suggestive conversation can definitely plant certain ideas in your head that can be to the point where it can blow it up to make to make it seem like, oh, this is actually a thing, when it's really just your brain just doing like weird stuff, right?
Sure.
And yeah, and I mean, like, I would definitely say that, I am a person who experiences like weird brain stuff on the regular. Especially the older that I got, my brain just decides to do this, like, the most randomest things ever in life.
Tell me about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, my goodness, like, yeah, Kelly, I know, Kelly, you can relate to, like, you're like, what did my brain just do? Why did you do that?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and my brain is like, yeah, deal with it, girl. I'm like, damn, that's how you feel. So, I mean, but I think about, I think about that particular instance because I remember at the time that I experienced it, it seemed so real. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I also understand that, like, brains can, hyper fixate on certain happenings and blow stuff up, realer than what it really is.
Right. I used to think my brain was the most important part of my body, and then I realized one day what was actually telling me that. So,
Mm.
It was your brain. That ego-ridden organ that's in your head. How dare it?
That's pretty clever.
yeah, right.
Can't lie, Kelly. That's really clever.
Yeah, I know. Right?
Cynthia,
Yeah, very
I
clever. But guys, it was yeah.
go ahead.
Go ahead, Kelly.
No,
No,
you were
go
about to
ahead.
say it was good talking to us.
Naturally.
Of course.
It was great talking to you guys. Of course, I love you with the love of the non-Lord, okay? And and also I just want to tell your audience that, not only are Kelly and Eli, on Truth Wanted, as my son is screaming in the background because he cannot help himself. They are also on nonprofits that actually premiere on the U of the Tubes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. So check us out and like and subscribe and share and all of the great botheration.
And you can often find the wonderful Cynthia over there as well. So,
Very often.
yeah. All right, Cynthia. Thank you so much for giving us a
More
call.
often than you
Appreciate
think.
it.
Thank you,
Thank
Cynthia.
you guys. Have a good evening.
Good night.
Bye.